Okay, we are ready to start our open session meeting. Sorry we were a little long in closed session. Appreciate your patience. Yvonne?
Doris Graham. Here. Kevin M. Martin.
Here.
Mary Lutke. Here. Ann Marshall. Here. Nicole Robinson. Here. Rodney G.
Here.
Who didn't I call? Kevin M. Martin.
Already called me.
Greg Larson.
I'm here. Great. Well, welcome to everybody attending our April board meeting. We start right off with certifying the unofficial election results. I believe they're still unofficial, right? We haven't gotten.
They are.
It's getting close to the time when we will get official, but you want to share that with us?
Did you want to do the welcome and things first?
He just did. He said
did.
welcome.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Do you want me to read the whole thing? The resolution?
Yeah, you can read those.
It is recommended the Board of Trustees approve the following resolution for Subdistrict Number 1. Whereas the Board of Trustees of St. Louis Community College of St. Louis County, Missouri has received the unofficial results of the Board of Elections Commissioners of St. Louis County, Missouri related to the elections of the trustee from Subdistrict Number 1. Said elections have been held on Tuesday, April 2nd, 2024. And whereas the Board, on the basis of said unofficial results, has jointly tabulated the results which are as follows. Candidate Subdistrict Number 1 and vote total. Clem Smith, 6,690 votes. Doris A. Graham, 12,684 votes. Theo Brown Sr., 3,596 votes. Cortez Harris, 2,552 votes. Whereas it appears from the unofficial tabulations of the results that Doris A. Graham has received the greatest number of votes from Subdistrict 1. Now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees does hereby declare and certify that Doris A. Graham has been duly elected from Subdistrict Number 1. Said term of office is for 6 years until Doris A. Graham's successor shall be elected and qualified.
Thank you.
You need a second for that? Mary is seconding. So it's been moved and seconded that we adopt this resolution. I don't know that we need a roll call vote. Should we just? So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
We got an aye. It was a delayed aye. Doris, we're delighted to have you back.
Thank
for
you.
all kinds of good reasons, but it's hard not to comment that you won in a four-way race, you got more than 50% of the vote.
Thank you.
You represent that area. There's just no question about that. So
Thank you. I like being an ambassador for St. Louis Community College. When my god-granddaughter spoke my first year on this board, she said this is the best well-kept secret in St. Louis, because she came here for 1 year and everybody embraced her with so much love. She gained so much confidence that when she went to Texas Tech, she graduated with honors, and now she is a science teacher in the Webster Groves School District. Awesome. Thanks to the community college.
wonderful. Well, shall we swear you in?
Yes.
The vote first. Did we vote on that?
We did vote.
Oh, yeah. We did. Yeah. I'm like Yvonne.
Anything on your mind?
The weather.
No.
Who's going to do the swearing in? I think
You do.
I need a script.
It's on the
We have a script.
agenda.
Okay.
It's just on the agenda.
It's not very long.
No.
Okay. I think you repeat after me.
Okay.
I just hit the wrong button.
Don't repeat that part.
Okay. You can do this. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution
that I will support and defend the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Missouri,
and of the state of Missouri,
and that I will faithfully conduct myself
and I will faithfully conduct myself
in the office of trustee
in the office of trustee
of St. Louis Community College.
of St. Louis Community College.
Congratulations.
So,
Our next item of business is to elect the chair for the Board of Trustees?
I'd like to nominate Dr. Kevin M. Martin here of the.
Second.
Rodney seconds. It's been seconded that we have Kevin M. Martin move into the chair's role. Are there any other nominations or any other comments? I believe we can just do an oral vote, correct? So all in favor of Dr. Martin moving into the role of chair, please say aye.
Aye.
That was unanimous. We will now switch.
Thank you. And there's the siren. All right. So we're going to listen to Hart to go over our safety measures while we take a commercial break. Thank you, everyone. We are now going to resume our meeting. Thank you for our patience with the tornado warning, and hopefully we'll be able to conclude the rest of the meeting while everyone remains safe. At this time, we're on item 1.6. Are there any recommendations for approval of a vice chair of the Board of Trustees?
I'd like to nominate Rodney G.
It's seconded to nominate vice chair. Are there any other nominations on the floor? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Abstentions? Nay? Congratulations, Rodney, the vice chair of the board. Item 1.7 is citizens wishing to address the board regarding agenda items.
There are none.
Thank you so much. Next up is 1.8, adoption of the agenda as presented. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Been moved by Larson. Second by Robinson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the agenda as presented, say aye. Aye. Abstentions, nays, ayes have it. Item 1.9, acceptance of minutes from our February 2022-2024 public session and March 28th, 2024 special board meeting minutes. It's been moved by Marshall. Second by Larson. Any corrections, modifications, or changes? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from February 22nd, 2024 public session and March 28th, 2024 public special meeting session, say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions, nays, ayes have it. Item 2.1, recognition, Mr. Rack.
Good evening. Chair Martin. Councilor Pittman, trustees, faculty, staff, guests, thank you. Tonight, we honor the team that was responsible for winning the 2024 Bellwether Award from the League for Innovation in the Community College. The Bellwether Awards annually recognize outstanding and innovative programs and practices that are successfully leading community colleges into the future. Winners and finalists are invited to join the prestigious Bellwether College Consortium. This year's recipients were honored at the Community College Futures Assembly in February in San Antonio. STLCC programs have been selected as finalists for Bellwether Awards 5 times since 2015. STLCC won its Bellwether Award in the Workforce Development category, which identifies strategic alliances that promote community and economic development programs. In its program, Show Me Synergy, Growing the Healthcare Workforce in St. Louis, is a multi-year strategic plan that met the ongoing healthcare workforce needs. The success of this program led to an increase in student enrollments, additional resources for the college, and has strengthened their relationship with clinical partners. STLC's Health Sciences Division initiated the project. The principals were Chancellor Jeff Pittman, William Hubble, the District Division Dean of Academic Affairs, Health Sciences, Jordan Cooper, District Dean of Nursing, and Kim Kraft, RN's Placement Coordinator. Other significant contributors included Julie Fickus, Campus President and Chief Academic Officer at Forest Park, Alice Smith, Dean of Health Sciences at Forest Park, Jennifer Arvin, STLCC's Executive Director of Marketing and Communications, and Jason Young, Coordinator of Marketing and Communications at Forest Park. One of the judges, Uttam Gali, Professor of Higher Education Administration and Policy at Morgan State University, noted that the practices and outcomes emanating from the program will serve as an exemplary model for other educational institutions that are striving to make a tangible difference in their respective communities. Quote, the reinforced bond between St. Louis Community College and its clinical partners is a testament to the value of synergetic relationships and collaborative efforts. Their strengthened relationships underpin the very essence of community engagement and demonstrate how institutional alliances can serve the common good, particularly in filling critical workforce gaps. The foresight and dedication illustrated through this endeavor are certainly worthy of acknowledgement, close quote. Congratulations to everyone involved, and we would ask that William Hubble and Jordan Cooper and Kim Kraft please come up for a photo.
Bellwether's one of your babies.
You're deferred.
Sure am.
I'm lost. How do I get out of the executive meeting? Just my meetings?
Congratulations so much.
I guess I should.
We need that for the breakfast Monday.
Okay.
Jennifer, are you going to take this with you, or why don't you just give it to Jennifer?
Okay.
Traveling trophy. Mr. Chairman, that concludes tonight's presentation.
Thank you so much. Certainly appreciate it. And again, congratulations to all involved with that. Certainly it's one that we want to continue to work for and strive. Next up is Jennifer Arvin, Executive Director of Marketing Communication for item 2.2, Informational Presentation, Brand Perception Study.
Thank you, Chair Martin, Chancellor, trustees. I am here to talk about our brand perception study. I'll move how it gets it up onto the screen. It is a, here we go. We are planning a new enrollment marketing campaign. And when we do that, we want to explore how things have changed since the last time we did a brand perception study. We have not done one since 2017, so we wanted to go out into the market and really understand what people think of our brand, how they view us, as we get prepared to launch this new campaign, which will be in October, in time for spring 25 enrollment. So our brand perception study included 2,300 respondents, which is a nice group for a quantitative study. We looked at community members that did not necessarily have any affiliation with St. Louis Community College. We talked to prospective and current students, alumni, and STLCC faculty and staff. We examined the brand's strengths and its weaknesses. One thing before I begin is I want to tell you that sometimes the employees' views don't always mirror our external stakeholders. We're a little bit tougher on ourselves. And you'll see that in this study. It's very typical for these types of studies because we know where we need to improve. And so sometimes that judgment is there. But there's some really good work in here. And you'll see that while this ad campaign, Come As You Are, See What You Will Become, we may be a little bit tired of it internally, but it has served us well in terms of the brand awareness and preference. And I will move to the next slide. So when we look at the community brand awareness, you can see that St. Louis Community College, these are community members not affiliated with the college at all. We have a 96% awareness of the college brand, as well as University of Missouri St. Louis. And you're going to see throughout this presentation that St. Louis Community College and UMSL are neck and neck. And that's very rare for a four-year university to compete in that sort of space with a community college. The names across the bottom of the screen that you see here are our competitive set. We don't compete necessarily with Washington University or Maryville. We worked with our student affairs colleagues to really take a look at who are the competitive colleges that our students are applying to. Sorry about that. So this is the prospect brand awareness. So students who are already in our funnel who have expressed interest in attending college, and you can see here again, 100% familiarity with us. And then it goes to Rankin, St. Charles Community College, and so forth. This is a reputation among community members that don't know much about St. Louis Community College in terms of having experience with us. And this is going to not just awareness, but reputation. And you can see that the college has a very strong reputation, followed by UMSL, and then in third place is Rankin. So that is good to know amongst the community. But as we move into prospects, you will see that we become even higher. So these are students who have expressed some interest in us, and so we are neck and neck with UMSL in this situation, and again, followed by Rankin. Reputation among students, which is good to see, rises even higher. Students who are actively enrolled in the college view us as a very strong reputation and a good choice, and we like to see that. And looking at alumni, even higher. So alumni is a testament to understanding that they made a wise choice when they chose St. Louis Community College, and they're established in their careers, and they're happy with the education that they received. Faculty and staff, again, I mentioned earlier that we always judge ourselves a little more harshly, but you can see, but it follows in the same order, UMSL, college, and then Rankin. So we're going to take a look at brand strengths. So in this graph, it's very busy, but it's looking at all of the different people that we surveyed. And you can see that we are very well known for our affordability and the ability to get financial aid. We have done a very good job talking about affordability. That's something we don't need to focus on as much anymore because it's already very well known by all of these groups. And as you move through these strengths, you can see that there are some things we could really do a better job of explaining. So when you see up-to-date facilities, obviously we're working on that with Transformed. Skills training, people don't know so much about that. Earning opportunities, and especially when you go to the orange circle on the right, the don't know. So that's community members. 28% of people who are not affiliated with the college don't really know what we're good at or what our strengths are. So there's a real opportunity out there to increase what we know about that. So this moves into program strengths. As you can see, healthcare is what is known throughout all of these groups as one of our biggest strengths. There's no doubt that our new building at Forest Park plays a big part in that and that program's growth. But you can see the areas I've highlighted that are associated with our Transform project. Those programs are going into those buildings. People don't know so much about them. So we have a real opportunity to talk about engineering, financial services, manufacturing, biotechnology, because folks don't necessarily think that that is a strength of ours. Brand challenges. With any community college that does a survey like this, I bet the first two things would be very similar. It's the stigma of a community college. That's very typical. Everyone wants to say, you know, I'm going away to a four-year college. I'm going to the big school, and that's not unusual. We know that student life is not as robust at a community college. However, we're working hard on that. And we also have a diverse student body that does not necessarily need that all the time. If you're a working adult and you have another job, you have kids, you don't have time to be involved in student life. However, you can see that there are some things we could do a better job of really promoting. We are not just general studies. We are not just transferring to a four-year college. Students with an associate's degree do get an increase in salary, and the thought that associate degrees don't lead to high pay is not true. So those are things that we certainly from the survey can use to educate people about what we're doing. So most people, even though there's a stigma associated with going to community college if you're a student, we have a very positive view of community college from these groups. And notably, the alumni is the highest. So alumni really have a value that they hold for the community college. We also have a strong, caring, and supportive culture. So when we gave them words that best described our personality, our culture, our vibe, the highest one was strong, caring, and supportive culture. And that is something that everyone can be very proud of. That has nothing to do with marketing campaigns. That has to do with the experience that people have when they come to visit the college, for students, for alumni. So really the employees very much own that. And again, the engaged, involved, to be confident. You can see that on the end, outdated. It's interesting, staff and faculty think that we're super outdated, but because we're very aware of it, that we talk about that a lot. But it's not necessarily something that's top of mind for students. So something to think about. So Net Promoter Score. A Net Promoter Score is the willingness to recommend. And for the average higher education, the score is around 30. So you can see that we scored quite well on all of these. And for students, the Net Promoter Score is sometimes in the single digits. So to have students have a Net Promoter Score of 51, it's phenomenal. Our marketing agency said they rarely do a survey and see anything that high. So that really speaks well for the college. So in summary, to talk about the strengths, we have a strong name recognition. We have a very strong reputation. We're on par with UMSL, which is rare to be competitive with a four-year university. That supportive, caring culture is really embedded in the fiber of who we are, and it's recognized. We're engaged and involved with our students and community. We're affordable, and we are known for healthcare. So what are our opportunities? Well, our opportunity is what should we be known for? Let's peel back the layers and think about what the community needs to know about us, which includes the employers, about the programs we're offering, and the students know what we're offering. The other fact we uncovered with this survey is that there's really low program awareness of Core 42, hopefully soon to be Core 60, and how it works. Students often hear through the grapevine, oh, those community college classes aren't going to transfer. It's not going to be worth my time. It's going to be difficult. So really creating awareness and using language that students understand. Core 42 doesn't mean anything to an 18-year-old. How can we better explain the transferability of our degrees? And we really need to create awareness of these priority programs, such as manufacturing, transportation, biotech, all the things we're working on that are, some of them are tied into workforce development. And you saw Rankin as a strong competitor in every one of these. And I think, sometimes we've discounted that and people don't understand that we have a lot of those same programs at a lower price and also with the same quality and the diversity and inclusion that sometimes Rankin, we hear from our students that they don't experience. So as we develop this ad campaign, which is already underway, that we'll be bringing back to show you soon, those are what we're going to be thinking about as we move forward. Is there anything else I can share?
Well, thank you so much. So we'll do a whip around if there's any questions. Mary, any questions or comments?
Very good.
Nicole? Craig?
I'm really pleased with the results. It's a good place to start from.
It is. There's a lot to be proud of, and we can only build up from there.
Doris? Any questions or comments?
No, I think it's a very good report.
Annie?
No, thank you so much. I'm really pleasantly, just really excited about how positive everything is. I do find it interesting that I like where I find it interesting that financial service, like the program strengths that we can grow with, we're building it and we're going to grow it and it's going to work. I think it's great.
Yeah, and I will point out this is a very condensed summary. There is a 90-page PowerPoint that provided. Feel free to go. It has a lot of very interesting information in it.
I might say that this correlates, or I don't know what the right term would be, it reinforces the research we did prior to going out for Prop R, because we thought we were going to have to do a marketing campaign to even think about asking for the tax increase. And in fact, found out people like us. Some parts of the county like us more than others, but people like us.
Rod, any questions or comments? You're muted, just let you know, sorry.
I don't really have anything to say. I'm very surprised by the strengths that we have, and I'm excited about the opportunity. So I look forward to us getting to work on it.
Thank you. And ditto what everyone else said. I didn't know what we were doing. I think it's awesome to just kind of see where we're at, and especially around like St. Charles Community College and where their perception is compared to ours. Certainly put us in a good place, and I think the opportunities. I look forward to what you do and your plan to address the opportunities that we have and to move forward.
Right. And I will add that we did survey, St. Charles County, Franklin, Jefferson County, so we went, outside the district as well.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Next up is item 3.1, Board of Trustees business. Recommended approval for the chair and the trustee blank to be on the foundation board effective July 1st. Is there nomination to serve on the foundation board of directors?
I would like to nominate Nicole Robinson.
It's been moved to nominate Nicole Robinson. It's been seconded by Loki. Any other nominations on the floor? Seeing none, the motion on the floor is to nominate the chair and trustee Robinson to serve on the foundation board of directors effective July 1st, 2024. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Next up is item number 3.2, recommended approval of the revisions of the board policy sections B, B, and C, and note all other areas within these sections as reviewed February 2024 with an effect date of July 1st, 2024. Is there a motion on the floor to approve those policies as listed?
So moved.
It's been moved by Larson, second by Graham. Thank you to the policy committee, which was Trustee G, Trustee Robinson, myself, and a lot of administrators. We had an opportunity for community to submit feedback. We did not receive any feedback from this round, but we did receive some feedback from the first round, which initiated policy. Again, I think we mentioned last time, the one I'm most excited about, I think, is really the maternity and paternity leave increasing to 12 weeks from 6 weeks. So 3 years ago, we did six weeks. Now we're going to 12 weeks effective July 1st. And we reduced when the benefit starts from 1 year to 6 months being in the organization. So someone being here for 6 months will now be able to get 12 weeks of paid maternity and paternity. There's more details in the HR side of things, but certainly on the policy standpoint, that is that. And so I appreciate Tanya's team working through all that stuff as well and making sure we can implement that, and Mark's team looking at the fiscal risk of it as well. Any additions or subtractions? Everyone good? Seeing none, all those in favor? Oh, sorry.
Nothing major. I thought there was a place here, and I brought the wrong copy that I printed, that said the board may have retreat.
Correct.
It's not written somewhere that we're supposed to do that once a year?
We changed it to the word may, so that way if we don't want to do it in January, we want to do it in December, we're not violating policy, because it used to say you had to do it in January. So this way it gives us flexibility of when we will do the retreat, instead of always doing it in January, because sometimes that's not the best month for us to do it. So
I appreciate this. A lot of work. Thank you very much.
we enjoy it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. Next item is revision to fiscal year 2025 fees and fines. It's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the revisions to fiscal year 2025 fees and fines schedules that was approved at the February 2022-2024 board meeting. Is there a motion on the floor to approve as presented? So moved. Is there a second? Second. Mark, what changed, if you can help us just know what changed from the last time we approved this?
There were two changes. The first one is section 170 was inadvertently missed on the last time, so that it
Nursing 170?
Nursing 170, sorry. And then the other is on a music fee. That music fee was a fee that was going directly to the instructor versus coming through the school, so we changed it to make sure that it comes through the school, just to protect the integrity of it.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mark? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the fiscal year 2025 fees and fines schedule amended as presented, please say aye. Aye. Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. Next item is item 3.4, 2024 debt offering. I believe this is our first time offering debt since
I've missed that.
first time offering debt since Prop R?
Yes.
Okay. Mark, the floor is yours.
And this relates to that, to Proposition R, STLCC transformed. As we started this discussion back in the workshop back in July, and it's come forward to where we are today, which is some action items for the board. And so we want to walk through that. First, I want to recognize that I have brought expert witnesses, just in case somebody has too many questions. I have Sean Flynn, who is our bond counsel, and Todd Gaffey, who's with Piper Sandler. So I should be able to answer all the questions, but if I can't, they're there and we'll bring them up. So before we get on to debt, I want to give you an update on Transformed, and this says as of 3/21. It's actually as of 3/31. We pay the Transform payments monthly. And so as of the end of the quarter, we have $84,100,000 that was paid out on the Transformed projects. As you'll notice in the next column over, there's reimbursements of 19.2. If you go to the color coding, the first item is the Allied Health building at Flo Valley, and there's a $20 million match grant that is an ARPA grant that is coming through the state of Missouri. It has a date of completion on that grant of December 31st. We think we're on target to expend all $20 million of that. According to this, we have approximately $11 million left on it. And then on the Wildwood Health Sciences and Tech Center, we have a $21 million match grant from general revenue from the state of Missouri. And that is supposed to be through June 30th of this year. If the governor signs the budget and House Bill 20, that will be extended to add another $21 million that will be extended, and the whole thing will be extended until June 30th of 2025. I'm only showing here the amount related to the first 21 million though, so we have approximately 10.7 million left to draw on that. Now, this is as of today, because we've already received all the bills that we're going to pay next Tuesday, which is an additional $14.2 million. And so that 84 is going to go pretty close to $100 million. And additional $3.5 million we'll get on the match grants coming through. So I wanted to tell you where we were at, because we started out this whole process in December of 21. I was saying we wanted to use our resources first. So in order to do a debt offering, which is COPS, certificates of participation, similar to what we did for the Center for Nursing at Forest Park, we had to have a notification, publication notice, and the notice of public meeting. That is this meeting, and we published it twice, on April 2nd and on April 9th in the Post-Dispatch. So we are in compliance with that. The project is the entire STLCC Transform project of just $450 million. And so it's constructing, renovating, equipping, furnishing new and existing facilities of the college. We say the project will be financed with $225 million. Of course, we will be other revenue and match grants and the like will come up to the 450. So this amount will not be for the entire project, and that's going to become relevant in the next slides. The goal of any financing for you, me, anybody is to keep the collateral to a minimum. You don't want to give very much collateral. You want to give what's right. And so in this case, we're only borrowing $225 million on a $450 million project. Therefore, we're only recommending, and this is subject to analysis after the fact when we go through some of this, but the Health Science and Technology Center at Wildwood, which is an $84 million project, Nursing and Health Science Center at Flo Valley, which would be in the collateral pool, the Emerging Technology Center and the Financial Services Education Center at Merrimack would be in the pool. Now, what that means is that Forest Park will be, except for the Center for Nursing, which has the 17 COPs on it, will not have any debt. And the Advanced Technology Center out of Flo Valley will not have any debt. And the key here is to make sure for future generations of leaderships and board that they have the ability to borrow additional money if they need to or decide to in the future, which is, unspecified at this point. We just want to make sure that we don't offer all the campuses. And then if we offered all the campuses, then they wouldn't have any ability to borrow any additional funds, should they need them. We will, as we get closer, we'll, hone in on the individual properties, and it is actually the footprint of those buildings, and then access, ingress and egress to that property, plus some parking next to them. So this is a source and use of funds, and the idea here is to create feedback. Idea is to create a $225 million project deposit, which we talked about earlier, into the account. This is a pro forma amount for what we're trying to accomplish. This isn't necessarily how it would shake out at the end, and what we want to do is leave flexibility to anybody that might buy the COPS so that they decide what is the lowest cost to us, which is called the TIC, which is the total interest cost. So we want to keep the total interest cost the lowest we can. So par amount may go up to 225, net premium may go up and the par go down. It's just a function of what is the lowest cost to the college. As you can see, there's issuance costs of approximately $1.4 million for this size of a transaction. Sorry, one too many. This is a summary by year. We originally, when we talked in July, we talked about a $20 million debt service number. Understand that this is pro forma, so it's going to be dependent upon what we see in the market at the time we're ready to go issue. But so the difference between, if you look to the far right-hand column, you'll see 18.2 roughly. When we start to get down to amortizing the debt, that 18.2 may go up. We're going to keep it below $20 million, so that is our plan. What the reason why you have to do that is because interest rates change daily. So this is just a representation of how the previous slide, which is the offering that was presented, would carry out in the payoff. As you notice, it only goes out to 2024. From here, that's roughly 20 years, 4 years of interest only in order to get the projects up and running, and then 19 years, 20 years, 16 years to pay the debt off. So we're going to make it's not going to be a long 25 years or 30 years or anything like that. This next slide is merely a detail. So it shows you if we had issued the way that I showed it, it shows the actual payments. So we, under COPS bonds, we pay them twice a year, once in October, on October 1st, and once on April 1st. So under any of these, we're talking about that there could be a potential for refinancing after 10 years, which is what we have on the 2017 COPS. There we go. So this is where we're at. Everything in yellow is more or less complete. And the documents that we presented in the package for the board meeting reflect these. That doesn't mean that any of them can't change. If you guys have any questions or have any concerns, reach out. There was a lot of good reading. I'm sure it'll be something that you want to just delve into, but there's quite a few documents there. Here we are at the April 18th board meeting, wanting to approve the parameters that we're talking about. So before I go to this next slide, I probably should ask if there's any questions regarding what we're planning on doing.
Any questions so far?
Okay. I wanted to put in this slide, and we have a request in here for an entity called MOCAP, but I'll get to that here in a minute. But under a typical debt offering, UMB, which is our trustee, would invest the funds overnight. And UMB by investing them overnight, it's a lower return than we could do. Like you'll see when the quarterly statements come out, I invested at 5.3%. You don't get that investing overnight. It's a sweep account. It goes in and out, and those dollars usually are about anywhere from 1.5 to 200 basis points lower than what we could achieve in the investing. The problem that you get into is, when do you need the money? If you invest in treasuries for 6 months, which I just did this morning, you can get 5.37%. But if you need the money in a month, you can't do that. So the question is how to keep the liquidity that you have, or keep the liquidity you need, and to achieve the same result. So there's a vehicle out there, it's called MOCAT, the Missouri Capital Asset Advantage Treasury is what that stands for. And it was set up to work with school districts, political subdivisions and school districts, and they offer a higher rate. Now, you say, how do they offer? Everything that they invest in are things that we, by state law, could invest in. But they operate, or they have $43 billion under investment management. Well, if you take our $225 million, that is a really small amount, and so they can create the liquidity in their investing pattern. So they've got people that don't need the money today, and they average it all out. The rate yesterday for it could be overnight is 5.2%. So what we would do. And just because you approve this doesn't mean we would use it. We would use it if it results in higher interest income. And that we would instruct UMB to invest in MOCAT, which is investing in the things we can invest in. And then MOCAT, when we need the money, MOCAT would transfer the money back to UMB, the trustee. That's the way that works. And so they can offer a higher rate. And I want to give you one example of how this would impact us, and to the positive. So months ago, but we update it quite often, is that the construction managers for the projects give Hart an idea of what they expect to be paid out in bills on a monthly basis. So I'm going to take the month of March. For the month of March, the construction manager said that we would spend $17 million. Now, some of these numbers are determined, months ago. So I had $20 million come out of investments this past, a couple of days ago. And the bills came in. The bills came in for that period, and it's only $12.5 million. So that's fine. We have more than enough to pay, but I could have invested the 7.5 for longer. And the issue here is UMB, and this goes to our checking accounts too. UMB pays us just like they do in the trust to sweep the accounts, and they pay, I'm going to say 3.5%. And we get 5.25 or 5.5% through investing in treasury bills directly. So if you think about it, if you have $100 million, which we do, and you invest in the treasury bills direct, you would receive, say, $5.3 million. But if you invest through UMB sweeping the account, you only get 3.5. And that dollar amount adds up fast when we're talking about the dollars we're talking about. So one of the things we talked about is arbitrage. And arbitrage is where you borrow money at a low rate and you invest it at a higher rate. That the IRS controls that in these types of offerings on certificates of participation or bonds, and they require that you spend the funds within a certain period of time. You can invest the funds at a higher rate. It's just you have to meet the requirements. So whether it's 6 months, 12 months, you have to have X amount of dollars spent out of the trust. We don't want to pay, obviously, the Treasury for any of that. So we monitor that really closely, and we will, and then at the end, Sean's firm will come back in and audit that and determine whether or not we succeeded. But because we're only borrowing $225 million on $450 million, it's virtually impossible. One that goes back to that first slide that I showed you where we stood on Transformed. we're going to be at roughly $100 million. And you, the board, passed a resolution in December of 21 that said that we could reimburse ourselves for expenditures. So that $100 million that we spent, we can take out of the 225. And that'll meet some of the requirements for the IRS. So when you get down to it, you know, we're trying to figure out how much we need to borrow today for 2 or 3 years out. So that's, you know, we picked the number 225 million.
When we pay ourselves back, then we put that back in our reserves, so to speak.
Yes, as well. So
We
if
have
you
rights to have that money, and we don't have to worry about that.
right now, I just ran some numbers again this morning. I believe that if whether we use MOCAD or we do it ourselves, I believe that we will earn enough interest income in the first year to pay the debt service. So you do, even if you use some of the money. So that's the key. We don't want to make this a burden on the budget, which is next month, and we'll talk about the budget next month. But we will come back and ask, show you how that impacts the budget when we present that in May. But the key here is if we can invest it and invest our funds enough to offset the cost of the borrowings in the first years before we spend it all down, it's going to allow us more money. It impacted the amount we had to borrow. We can borrow less, which is why we're borrowing 225. So what are our recommendations? And I know there's a lot of documents, but there are 3 that require approval from the board. The first one is that we recommend that you adopt the board resolution that we provided, authorizing Community College District of St. Louis County, Missouri to enter a lease purchase transaction, which is what COPS do. You sell it to a third party and then you lease it back. And then at the end, you buy it back for $1. You just pay it off. So that's the way we've always done it. And that's the way it has always worked. We used to use bonds, just so you know, and bonds went through the building corporation, and the building corporation owned the asset, and then we got it back from the building corporation. So we're asking for that. And I probably will stop on that one, and let's see if we can do that one first, because that one's the one that allows us to move forward.
So you wanted to separate them out to do the...
Yeah, I think we should separate out the MOCAD from this.
Is everyone good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. So we recommend the adoption of the board resolution provided authorizing the Community College District of St. Louis County, Missouri to enter a lease purchase transaction to pay the cost of certain capital improvements and to execute documents and approving certain actions in connection therewith presented.
Okay, I'm looking at attorneys.
Okay.
They say we're fine.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
It's been moved, and it's been moved by Larson, second by Marshall. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Abstentions or nays? Ayes have it. Thank you. Next item up is we recommend the adoption of MOCAAT instrument of adoption to allow for the college to join the MOCAAT Intergovernmental Cooperation Agreement as presented.
So moved.
It's been moved by Graham, second by Robinson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. Last item up on this slide, we recommend the adoption of MOCAAT resolution for community colleges authorizing participation in the Missouri Capital Asset Advantage Treasury Program as presented. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Marshall, second by Larson. Any discussion, questions, or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving us going into that agreement, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you.
One quick point, and I should have pointed it out, when we talked about the timetable, we're looking at somewhere right at the end of the fiscal year. So we had the certificate closings, purchasing, all that taking place around the 26th of June. Whether that happens in this year or next year doesn't matter to us. There are some issues as a respect to accounting, but nobody wants to get into that. So I will leave it at that and just tell you that if it's either going to happen toward the end of June or the 1st of July.
Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate it. Next up is item 3.5, change
I
of date.
just have to say how well all that's gone. Thank you. That's complicated stuff.
Thank you so much.
And certainly appreciate you keeping it easy for the board to understand what we're doing in our strategy all along, certainly, I think.
You
So,
speak in English, that's helpful.
yes. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. I'm sure you have documents to go sign or something now.
Yeah.
Yes, have fun. The next item is change of date for the August meeting. So it's recommended the Board of Trustees approve the change of date from the August 2024 board meeting from August 15th to August 19th for several reasons, 2024.
You said August 29th.
29th. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Graham, second by Robinson. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor? Aye. Abstentions? Nays. And Yvonne will send out a calendar invite to make sure we have the correct date now. Thank you. Next up is 4.1, approval of consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Larson,
Second?
second by Marshall.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Aye. Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. Thank you so much. Dr. Pittman, the floor is now yours.
All right, thank you, Trustee Martin. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you again this evening, and I just have a few items for you, and I want to give you a quick legislative update, but also focus on our efforts around best places to work as we continue to work toward that significant goal for the college. And I want to thank Trustee Lukey. He took the time to go to Wildwood today, and we had a signing ceremony for the governor's book, No Turning Back, and we provided you all with a copy of that. But we had put together, the team put together a list of funding that had began with the governor's office. And if you look at all the funds we've received for one-time capital projects, MoExcel's funding, and then the Child Care Center at Forest Park, it comes up to a total of $67 million that this governor has recommended for St. Louis Community College. So we're eternally grateful for that. I know it did him well to see the building standing there at Wildwood, that if this budget's approved, they will have provided $42 million, or half the cost of that building, for healthcare and emerging technology. So very, very thankful for that. Where we are in the legislation right now, the House budget has came out. It's lower than the governor's budget, which included a 3% increase to core funding. The House has recommended a 2% increase that would not be core funding. It would be a one-time amount. So that's kind of the variance in between what the governor's recommended to the House. But in speaking with Senate leadership, I believe the intention, at least at this time, is to reinstate the 3% reoccurring core funding, plus all of the capital projects and MoExcel funding that would be in there and would impact the college with our recommendations and hope to be approved. You've been probably following, as I continue to email you, probably drive you crazy, House Bill 2310. I've been working on that, and that would be a big leg up for community colleges across Missouri, where we would be working with the universities to develop 5 common core curriculum programs, Associate of Science to a Bachelor of Science, between community colleges and the university. So that means if a student, for example, if biology is one of the programs they would select, that we would collectively select, completes an associate degree here, all 60 hours will transfer to any university across Missouri, any public university across Missouri. So far, that's been very popular in the work that we've done with the House and Senate. It was voted out of the House last week, 152-0. That's one of the first times I've ever seen no nay votes on something like this. So we're very appreciative of that. Next, we have to get it on the Senate to assign it to a committee and then to the floor. However, I want to say, given where we are in the time frame and the load that the Senate has of the significant bills they have to get through, which includes our budget bill, by the way, we don't know if this is going to be possible or not. We're hoping it is. It may time out and we may not be able to get it on the floor, but we're trying to get it in order so we can get it up for a vote. I believe if it gets up for a vote, it's going to be a similar outcome. I don't think not a single senator will vote against it if it gets up there. So we're hopeful it doesn't time out, but we're moving along as much as we can to advance this. If it doesn't get to the floor, we'll bring it back next year. We'll just simply bring it back next year. And sometimes these things take time. All right, in regards to best places to work, our teams have been working very, very hard to make that happen. The next best place to work survey will be conducted January of 2025. It will be different in terms of the data collection that we have, where we'll include not only full-time employees, but also adjunct faculty and part-time employees. I have not had time to brief with the staff yet about that. I want to make sure we can aggregate data out on the full-time employees, so we're comparing apples to apples with the data that we had. But that's the plan right now in terms of the time frame that will start. We've also been really emphasizing employee development, really focusing on bringing our employees along in professional development. We have launched management foundations, as many of you are already aware. Then we will soon be launching the employee learning platform called Skillsoft. We will also be launching the new Chancellor's Leadership Academy, and then also Emerging Leaders. So you can see a little bit of information about what each of those are. The Management Foundations program has already concluded for this year. We had 18 sessions across the district. We had 170 people managers trained. I sat through that. It's just a great program. You can see some of the things that it covered there. And it will continue to be offered to all new managers that we have coming in to the college. So many thanks to Tanya Dubsky and the HR team for all the work that they have done around this particular effort. Skillsoft is our new employee learning platform. So we're going to be moving away from, what was it, Safe Colleges? I forget the name. It's called Safe Colleges, where I finally got to the point I could test out of all the modules. So now they're going to change everything, and I'll have to go through the whole program again, but that's fine. But you can see some of the topics there in terms of what content that we'll have, and there's an unlimited amount of learning opportunities, so we can customize those things that the employees will see. But I'm looking forward to the new platform. It looks very exciting and upbeat and unscaled, and we'll continue to learn a lot here. Then the Emerging Leaders program is coming forward in the not too distant future in 2025, where we'll target current non-people manager employees who aspire to lead a department in the organization. So they're kind of a stepping stone leading up to executive leadership for an employee that are at the college and want to and has aspires to. We've also brought back to life all of our service awards, and you can see the dates there. Certainly, if trustees would like to attend any of these events, you're welcome. They're a great time. There are food and desserts in particular that are available. So we always have a great time at these events across the district. And then next week, I believe it's Tuesday, we have yet another town hall where we're seeking to keep employees updated with everything that's going on and work to have more employee engagement from our employees with everything that we have going on across the college. Then there's the Chancellor's Leadership Academy. So I would call this the CLA 2.0. We had this when I first got here. We focused mainly on guided pathways, but we had some leadership activities built in. You can see the goals of the new academy to build a workforce ready for advancement into executive levels of the organization. That's very important for succession planning. Create connection and increase collaboration among leaders, and build leadership behaviors that promote our values here at the college. And one thing, I really want to brag on our leadership team right now. The broader leadership team and the Chancellor's Cabinet, they work very, very well together. And that was proven again this week because we had budget hearings, and they had to collectively work to establish priorities before we even got into the hearings. I mean, that's really amazing that your leadership team and your cabinet can do that. So I'm very, very proud of them. And we want to continue that culture and environment at St. Louis Community College. See some of the topics there. Will include business, leadership. That'll include a self-assessment and a psychological test for people to understand where they are and where they can improve and what their strengths are. And then certainly community and government engagement and connection is so critical for leaders here at St. Louis Community College. The timeline, we're going through the application process right now. You'll be seeing applications come out soon. We're looking for 12 to 15 employees to participate. We'll kick this off in August to September, and then April we'll have our commencement. So it's an entire academic year that we'll go through, and I'm looking forward to participating in that. That concludes my formal report, pending any questions of the trustees.
Great. Are there any questions for Dr. Pittman? Thank you so much for the update.
Thank you.
Lots going on. Appreciate it. I just want to say, again, don't forget, we have commencement coming up in May. That will be here before we know it. So it is on a Sunday this year, if I'm not mistaken. So if Yvonne can make sure we can just get an email with the calendar, the information, just so we can kind of block that out. I think it's the week after Mother's Day, if I'm not mistaken, on the 19th, I want to say. Just want to thank Craig for all of his leadership for the last year. It's amazing how fast a year goes. Certainly feels like we just had an election. So thank you to Dr. Larson for all that he did over the last year. Certainly appreciate your leadership and continue to see your leadership on the board overall. Other than that, that's all the comments I have. Are there any citizens wishing to address the board?
No, they're not.
Thank you. We'll do trustee updates and comments. We'll start with Marshall and we'll go around this way if that works. If you have any comments or questions or statements.
I just am always amazed at how well this organization runs and how student-centered we are. And I'm really grateful for everybody on the board. Congratulations, Dr. Graham. And it's nice to there's just a lovely cohesiveness with all of us, knowing that we are wanting the best for our students and we work towards it. So that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Dr. Graham.
I would like to-
longest, you have the most years left now than anyone on the board. You have 6 years, started today.
Starting today, and it's been wonderful, and I'm happy to be back on the board. And I want to tell you this, I'm so grateful for the help that I got, because I couldn't have done this by myself. There's no way. And I shared with two of the board members something that happened to me that I don't think it's ever happened. I'm gonna tell you what it was. I paid the printer for my flyers and yard signs, and I said to myself, I really don't have enough money to pay for 200 yard signs, so maybe I'll just get about 80 or 100. So I told him, give me 80, and I paid for it. And a week later, I was driving home, and I got a message. He said, Dr. Graham, I don't know, God must love you, but I already put your order in, you got it, and now they did the order all over again, so you'll find it on your porch when you get home. So I had a double portion, so I got on the phone, I called people that I knew, and I said, just come by, get as many as you want, and get these flyers, and all that you don't take, I'll use for note paper, since I don't have notepads anymore, since I'm not in the school district anymore. And we kind of laughed about it, but I just am so grateful and happy to be back on this cohesive board, because they're on the same page, and it's all about what's best for our students and our staff and our faculty.
Thank you so much. Dr. Larson.
So I have kind of a different update. As you know, Trustee Lukey and I went to the Association of Governing Boards Conference, March 26th to 28th, and we felt an obligation to provide feedback to the board about what the conference included. I'm not going to read everything I'm handing you. What I decided to do is to take 3 of the sessions, was probably somewhere between 8 and 10 that we went to between the 2 of us, so I'm not giving you a full summary of the conference. But we went for a particular reason. This conference, which targets governing boards or trustees of all kinds of colleges. So 1,400 trustees were there. About 200 were community college. The others were divided in large public institutions and a lot of smaller 4-year institutions, some of them, the more prestigious, and some of them smaller regional, so all kinds of trustees. Obviously, it's interesting is that most of those trustees are not elected, right? Most of them are appointed. Even most of the community college trustees are appointed by governors in many states. So we're kind of the unusual, Mary and I were kind of unusual as we sat in some of the sessions that we were elected, and they were kind of like, oh, that's different. That being said, the reason I really wanted to attend this conference is the session was called Meeting the Moment. And their point, and that point was made time and again in different sessions, is we are at a time of change in higher ed that we have not seen in this country since right after World War II. So this document, and I gave Jeff a copy, he can share it. This document goes through different points, but I would just highlight some of that. Prior to World War II, only a small percentage of Americans went to college, just, less than 5%, varied a lot by what part of the economic spectrum you were in, obviously, but also parts of the country, higher ed was more important, but small percentage. And the opening speaker made the point that by 1960, after the Greatest Generation had benefited from the GI Bill, somewhere around 10% of Americans had gone to college. And that wasn't highly stressed in his comments, but that 10% was hardly equally distributed, right? It's largely white men. And the reality of the situation in the 1960s. At that point, the baby boomers started really going to college. And the millennials, which are the children of the baby boomers, went to college at even a higher rate. So we ran a long time from the 60s into the 2010s, 20s, with every year more people going to college. And colleges benefited from that, but they also got used to the fact that they were just going to have more people show up, so they could always have more seats, and they could, the selective ones could be more selective, and there'd still be more people coming. That day is over. We now are at a situation where children in the last 2 generations, Gen Z and whatever we call the current cohort, simply that we don't have that many families having enough children to even replace the couple themselves. That's hardly unique to the United States. If you're interested in demographics, you can look at China and all over Europe. It's very typical. I mean, you have to go to some completely different kind of democracies to see a growing population. So, but we live in the reality of our own world, and this change that they call the demographic cliff is very real for us. And I know you all have talked about that in your own planning and so forth, but thinking about what that's going to mean for higher ed and what's that going to mean for community colleges, but for higher ed in general, what it means is a lot of colleges are going to go out of business. If they don't think about how to change themselves, and I'll end with a comment about one college that is doing that, changing themselves. There's just not enough seats. There's not enough students to fill the seats that we currently have. And if you can't make yourself a viable, competitive institution, you're really very likely to go out of business. We know in St. Louis that's already hitting some of our local colleges, and it's not a real upbeat message, but it is the times we're in. And the whole point of this conference is to help people that are trustees think about, so what are you going to do about that? Before I talk about the one example college I thought was pretty interesting, New York Times author and reporter Paul Tough made some really nice comments. He was a very good interview, and they kind of did it as a back and forth interview. And he talked about the reality that what we've seen in the last 10 years is a huge shift, not only in the demographics, but in the mindset that people have about college in general. And I think for community colleges, it's actually been a positive because people are thinking about community colleges as affordable and in the local community. I can, go there and upgrade my skills at a moderate cost to myself, not taking on a lot of debt. But for a lot of colleges that existed on either Pell Grants or just people buying their way into a fairly expensive education, people are no longer feeling very good about that, especially if, and this was a good Q&A back and forth in this session, especially if you're thinking about going into an occupation like teaching or social work or a lot of other occupations that don't pay really well. Borrowing $100,000 to do that doesn't make a lot of sense. And that, again, not all of this is news to any of us, but it's become pretty real. He made a point that I don't have a next step on, but it's very real to think about it, is that there's probably about 100 colleges in the United States that are pretty competitive, and people continue to go to them. And those people who can afford to do that, whose families can afford to do that, end up getting a good job for the most part, even competing in jobs like teaching. And if the family can afford that, that's all well and good. But that's creating a bigger divide in our country of people that can afford to go to college, kind of don't worry about it, and people that are, really thinking hard about, do I want to take on debt? So his suggestion, a book that he's written and kind of really aligns up beautifully with what we're doing, is 4-year colleges and 2-year colleges need to go to pathways. They need to think about not just declaring a major when you come to school, but what are you going to do with that education? Where are you headed and why did you choose that particular? So the more work, and again, he's talking mostly to 4-year schools. You need to help families know, how do you prepare students for work, not just how do you prepare them to get a degree. So really quite a different mindset for a lot of those 4-year colleges. And he ended with saying, community colleges are beautifully prepared to do this work already. That's a real asset that the country has, and the United States has way more community colleges than any place else. It's kind of a uniquely American. He did have a little caveat, and we can thank Governor Parsons for being a bit of an exception to this, is that legislatures all over the country have not been great at funding community colleges. And that's true in Missouri, too. We educate about 40% of all the people in higher ed, and we hardly get 40% of the state dollars. So, 15%. So I just wanted to end with a session that I went to, kind of not knowing exactly what I was walking into, but it's a small 4-year college in Maine called Unity Environmental College. It's been around for a while, and they focus on environmental education. And they've kind of got a good reputation around that. But the board realized that they were drifting from 750, it's size of the college, not a big college, to 500 students. And at what point were they just going to go out of business, or do they need to merge? And that was fairly common of colleges of that nature. The board hired Dr. Curry, who actually came from Missouri in his last job, was at Culver-Stockton. So kind of an interesting connection, which I didn't know anything about when we went in. And they wrote up a whole new strategic plan and just thought differently about where to go as an institution. So they knew that they're good at this whole area of, it could be marine biology would be kind of the more traditional, but a lot of they've trained park rangers. They really have a set of degrees that are, around environmental education. They're good at that, but they couldn't get people to come to Maine anymore. So they went online, and they had a partnership with a company that goes out and markets their offerings to an online audience. And they thought, well, maybe we can double. We could get to 1,000, 1,500. In 2 years, they were at 2,500 students. Now they're at 4,000. They're looking, because now they're in every state, and they've got international, not a lot, but some international. So they're thinking about, this could go to 10,000. Completely different institution, right? All of this is virtual. They do still have a campus, and they do still have students come there, but for the most part, they are now hiring people and offering degrees in a virtual space. Same board, and one thing they said that was kind of pleasant, they've not changed their tuition through this whole process because they're very, very successful. That's not a story that we would necessarily mimic, but I think our online campus is now one of our larger, and it's something that we probably need to think about as we move forward. I don't know what the next 10 years is going to mean for higher ed. It'll probably be very interesting and kind of important for us to follow, but I wanted to share that. I think Mary may have some follow-up comments. You were in several different sessions than I was.
Yeah, just to let you know that we went, and the best way to take advantage of it was not to go to any session together. So we went to different sessions and then came together after them and compared notes. Thank you for doing this, Craig. He did all of this. I had the clear pathways highlighted also because that's what we're doing, and it's absolutely working on every institution, every lecture that we heard. One of the lectures I went to referred to this students coming in now after the Gen Z, and they refer to them as Gen Alpha. And in referring to them as Gen Alpha, it means every single portion of their life from birth, they've had devices. There's never been a time in their life when there was not a device in their hands. And if you go to a restaurant, you look at babies and you look at people. So how we deliver education, we have to think about the fact that they're thinking devices. That how do you reach them? Is it through their devices? Because they said the number of 18-year-olds will decline through 2030s. And the last thing thank you for including this in here, that I thought was important is, because I so agree with it, and I know the educators in this college, and I know they do too. The goal of higher education is to help people learn to think well. It's not just a matter of giving information or how to, it doesn't matter if you're teaching in a CTE program or you're teaching in the second year of philosophy. Part of education is learning how to think. So as you're delivering your education, the suggestion is that you need to add this component in your syllabi, in your construction of how you're going to give your service information. And the last thing was, can we recruit students who have not finished college? It seems like we must do that. And can we shift our focus as an institution to better serve potential students, the outreach to the non-traditional students, whoever they might be, and bringing them into the first line of growing educated citizens is the community college. So that's what, it was a good conference, and it was certainly worth going. So,
Yeah, that group of citizens who've gone to college but don't have a degree or haven't finished. Many of them didn't really appreciate that experience, but now maybe we can reach out and offer them a different kind of experience to come back. And I know we're doing that. I think our workforce development is literally a model in this state.
Curious for that.
Sorry, I took a little longer than I
certainly. For that conference, did you find ACCT was more beneficial? AGB was more beneficial?
It's
Which
really a different
type
I
altogether?
wouldn't go to AGB's annual conference every year.
But every few years it seems.
Every few years, it really, especially this one, they really pushed. They had a nice, they do as we all get their trustee magazine, they did a nice job of sort of saying what they were bringing. This speaker, probably nobody here knows him, is Dr. Freeman Grabowski, 30-year president of the University of Maryland in Baltimore. I'd heard him a couple other times. I knew he was an outstanding speaker. He actually started kind of in math and STEM education, and then became college president. And he delivered. He was terrific.
Awesome.
He challenged people in that room.
What I would say about any conference that we go to is the conference offering what we think we need. nobody wants to go to a conference and it's very interesting, but it doesn't fit our needs. So I would just suggest that as we look at what's being presented by any conference, we decide, is that where we are? And as trustees, as we are being pretty cohesive and making a whole lot of big decisions, it was very valuable this time to see what's going on across the United States. And it made us, I hope, feel very positive about the work we were doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Nicole?
No, just want to say congratulations again to Trustee Graham and to thank you for your service, Mr. Chair.
Rodney G. Any comments?
I don't have any
Thank you so much.
comments.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
No.
Moved by Larson. Second by Marshall. All those in favor? Aye. Abstentions? Nays? Ayes have it. We are adjourned.